I'm Yasmin Tanras of Long Beach Local News, and we're going to be talking about some of the struggles that are happening here across the nation when it comes to hiring. As there are more positions that are being filled, employers have added around about 559,000 jobs in May following the falling numbers of COVID-19 cases. Now, 23,000 of those have gone into transportation and warehousing. The Labor Department has shared that the unemployment rate has fallen from 6.1 to 5.8%. Yet, many businesses are struggling to hire and are trying to find lucrative ways to attract people back into the workforce. So to talk to us here today about some of the struggles and some of the positions that are available is Jeff Bryant, who's the talent acquisition recruiter at Long Beach Transit. Thank you so much for joining us here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. Greatly appreciate it.
Well, please do let us know. So what are some of the shifts that you have noticed in this time on the front of hiring at Long Beach Transit, for example?
Well, I think what we're seeing, and not only this current position or the subject positions, but I think what has transpired on those who have collected their stimulus package, they're more inclined not to have the urgency to get back in the workplace. So that's one dynamic. And the other would be those who are take the time and motivated to apply online. Is a skill set that multiple agencies are looking at. Primarily, if we're talking about a bus operator, for example, the skill set that we're looking for is strictly customer service oriented. And that's the biggest piece to this position, because obviously we're dealing with the public and in every capacity. So those skill sets that we really can't train an individual. Either you have it or you don't. We can teach you how to drive our vehicles, but that customer service skills, you either have that or you don't. So we're looking for those who have worked in or are working in customer-oriented positions, and just to make sure they really enjoy working with the public. So those are the sort of the main skill sets that we look at. But the shifts is that individually we find that they're not as inclined to jump right back in to the workplace because they say, my unemployment check is more than this, and et cetera, et cetera. I hear that nationwide through my contacts. So what we try to do is make the job appealing by having some upcoming tutorials based on that position, so we can actually hear from a bus operator and see, some of the pros and cons of being an operator. So they hear it firsthand. If they hear from a recruiter, I haven't driven a bus, but I have driven large vehicles, but they actually hear from a bus operator. It really resonates with candidates. And so that's part of our forthcoming project, is to incorporate that. So those are the shifts. I mean, also you have other agencies that are recruiting for the same candidates. So the candidate pool is very narrow, but you have other agencies are in need as well, because now they're expanding their bus routes and their operations. So how do you make it appealing to one particular employer? You really have to be very innovative and show that it's not only the position, but the fleet inventory that we have a luxury to drive multiple vehicles, very progressive, innovative vehicles. And so that kind of set ourselves apart from a lot of the agencies that don't really have a diverse fleet inventory.
You're looking to fill the positions of mechanics, of bus operators, and the way in which Long Beach Transit is going about it is, you don't have to have basically much of a background. Let's say as a bus operator, you don't have to know how to drive a bus, like as long as you have a license, but you'll be trained in that. In terms of mechanics, like you'd have to have a little bit of experience, but is there any other sort of overall requirements and notions in which people might think, I need this, but it's not actually true? And is there a specific age range that they need to be in?
Well, yes, the age for the most, any of our driving divisions, mechanics, et cetera, they have to be 21. And we do conduct, due to the fact that we're under other entities as far as the FTA, DOT acronyms. So we have guidelines and restrictions, but they have to be 21. And background checks we conduct for everyone, and also a medical examination through drug and alcohol exam as well. And we can hire them as a Class C, or I should say we could interview and go through all that process as a Class C driver. But they have to have a permit upon hire. So they have to be tested at the DMV to obtain their permit. And that requires 2 endorsements, which is P or passenger endorsement and airbus. Those are the only 2 endorsements that we require for the bus operator position, as well as our mechanics. Distinction between the 2.
So I briefly mentioned here about how some businesses are really trying to find lucrative ways in which they can hire people. And so what are some of the benefits or the ways in which Long Beach Transit, aside from all the great training that you've just broken down, that Long Beach Transit will be providing new employees that are to join?
Yeah, well, the rates, they are represented by the union. And so they have progressive rates, based on the contract. And so that's a nice benefit as well. They have the pension as well, and also all the the medical, dental, vision benefits as well. So it might be similar to other agencies. So we try to specify how we stand out based on what we call, for example, the bus for the mechanical position. We have a phrase called bumper to bumper. You get trained from the front of the bus all the way to the rear of the bus. And all the parts, mirrors, seats, engine, you name it, they get trained on everything. So they are very valued as to once they get through that process. It just matters if it's kind of going through some of the particulars. So it's very quick. It's a very quick process.
Well, you would think with all these job openings and this easy step factor in workforce that people will want to go in there. But now thank you so much for sharing that, Jeff Bryan, just to showcase that it's not that hard, it's easy, and there's so many ways in which you can also apply. So do join the Long Beach Transit and keep the community moving, and head on over to ridelbt.com/careers. There's where you can always see all the different positions that are needed to be filled by Long Beach Transit there. And so I just, as a reminder there again, head on over to ridelbt.com/careers and check out their Instagram at Long Beach Transit. And for myself, I'm Yasmin Tanres. Head on over to Long Beach Local News for some more local news over in Long Beach, of course. Thank you again, Jeff.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.